guys, I was just reading Romans, which is probably my favorite part of the New Testament, and I thought I'd read you this because it's really awesome. This is chapter 8. I'll just read the whole thing. How do you like that? There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. For the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus hath made me free from the law of sin and death. For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, God sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, condemned sin in the flesh, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. So then, they that are in the flesh cannot please God. But ye are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit. If so be that the Spirit of God dwell in you. Now if any man have not the Spirit of Christ, he is none of this. Oh, my bad. Now if any man have not the Spirit of Christ, he is none of his. And if Christ be in you, the body is dead because of sin, but the Spirit is life because of righteousness. But if the Spirit of him that raised up Jesus from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Christ from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his Spirit that dwelleth in you. Therefore, brethren, we are debtors not to the flesh, to live after the flesh. For if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the Spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God, and if children, then heirs, heirs of God, and joint heirs with Christ, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who has subjected the same in hope. Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of our body. For we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why doth he yet hope for? But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it. Likewise the Spirit also helpeth our infirmities, for we know not what we should pray for as we ought. But the Spirit itself maketh intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. And he that searcheth the hearts knoweth what is the mind of the Spirit, because he maketh intercession for the saints according to the will of God. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. For whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called, and whom he called, them he also justified, and whom he justified, them he also glorified. What shall we then say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us? Anyway, He that spared not his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things? Who shall lay anything to the charge of God's elect? It is God that justifieth. Who is he that condemneth? It is Christ that died, ye rather, that is risen again, who is even at the right hand of God, who also maketh intercession for us. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation, or distress, or persecution, or famine, or nakedness, or peril, or sword? As it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long, we are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. For I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord. So much to unpack. Basically, if we walk after the Spirit, we have God in us. And God calls us to do this. So we're justified. I mean, it's like you either believe it or you don't. You know? Like, I really can't explain that. Because somebody that's going to take the time to read a spiritual book that's as wonderful as this one, okay? I would say this is the spiritual book. And I'm a huge fan of spiritual books, okay? I think there's a lot that you can get out of many things. I'm rereading the Big Book, and I can tell you that that is one of the most spiritual books out there, and I would highly recommend, if you want to be a better person and you want to expand upon your relationship with God, read the Big Book. Because it's only through desperation. Well, I shouldn't say that, but I think that desperation definitely helps people along in their journey towards spirituality, you know. So I heard it described that religion is for people that are afraid of hell, and spirituality is for people that have been to hell and don't want to go back. Yeah, I'm not really afraid of hell, mainly because, yeah, I've already been there. I've already done all of that. And I have God with me, and God was with me the whole time I was in hell, you know. It says so in Psalm 139. It's my favorite psalm, by the way, in case you were wondering. But whither shall I go from thy spirit, or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. Okay? So God's with us no matter what, dude. And if we acknowledge that, we'll be more inclined to do things that go along with his will rather than things that go along with, like, our carnal nurture. So you can say this is because of the fall, you can say this is because of materialistic culture and media and celebrities or politicians or whatever, all these different people, places, and things that are, like, pulling us in really terrible directions. And then you got way too many motherfuckers that just go along with this shit, and they are sheep to a different kind of slaughter, okay? So they're paying the penalty of going along with that. They are being punished. And so many of them don't even know it. Okay? So I mean, who needs the lake of fire when you got, you know, akathisia? You know, people are suffering from the side effects of pills that they've chosen to take because they were misled into believing that they work, because they were misled into believing that there's a chemical imbalance that makes them cry at inopportune times. All right? Now, I'm not saying there's nothing going on that should be addressed, but it's kind of like when you choose to go along with what the world offers, the world's going to prove that what they're offering you is fucking horse shit, okay? And I think that because I've always been a more spiritual person, I'm very quick to get myself out of worldly traps like psychiatry. That's why I never got into the smartphone trap. See this? This is called resilience. Okay. See this picture? I think that's a really cool picture. Can you see it? It's really beautiful. I took it yesterday. It's the open road. The sun is setting on an open road, and well, it wasn't really setting. The sun was going down, but it was like a really cloudy day. It was raining, so it was like really overcast all day. And it's a cool photo. I promise it's a cool photo. But yeah, like I have so many pictures like that of sunsets and sunrises and just lightning and I just really like stuff like that. That reminds me of my spirit. I don't like smartphones because all they do is suck the spirit out of everybody that uses them. Okay? Not to say that you can't do positive things with it. I realize it can be a tool. Nobody needs to give me this lecture. Okay? But a lot of people, they go along with the world and they're being punished. Their kids are being punished because their parents make shitty decisions. Everybody that has a TV is being punished. Everybody that watches porn is being punished. They just don't know it. I mean, and I actually think that's way worse than knowing it. Well, actually, I take that back. I guess it just depends on the person. If you know, it can lead you into a state of despair. Or, you can work on yourself and if you realize, oh, wow, this isn't good for me, and okay, I'll read another spiritual book. I'm so glad you asked me to. Okay, this is from Alcoholics Anonymous. This is in How It Works. Now, this is the part where it talks about the fourth step, which is taking a personal inventory of oneself. And this is the part of the book that talks about sex. Okay? Suppose we fall short of the chosen ideal and stumble. Does this mean we are going to get drunk? Some people tell us so, but this is only a half-truth. It depends on us and on our motives. If we are sorry for what we have done and have the honest desire to let God take us to better things, we believe we will be forgiven and will have learned our lesson. If we are not sorry and our conduct continues to harm others, we are quite sure to drink. We are not theorizing. These are facts out of our experience. So, the 12 steps are based off of Christian principles. And yeah, it's all about taking accountability for yourself and not blaming other people for your problems. That How It Works is one of the best chapters of this whole book. Because it just basically outlines, the whole thing. Like, this is how you stay sober. And that program is really not about sobriety as much as it is about, developing a relationship with God that's going to make you feel so good that getting drunk is going to seem like a total waste of time, So, like, yeah, if you work on yourself, I don't hear enough people say this. If you work on yourself, there's so much that you can get out of that. Like, the initial incline, which is really hard. I mean, it's totally worth it. it's totally worth it. I can't stress enough that if you're willing to do the work and look at yourself honestly and be like, wow, I'm a piece of shit in a lot of ways. And I think for a lot of people, I used to be like the type of person that let my toes get stepped on all the time. And I was a people pleaser, and I would do things that I didn't want to do. And I would allow myself to get taken advantage of. And it's because, like, I just thought that that's what I was supposed to do. And then working the steps helped me to just, like, set those boundaries and be like, no. Like, they don't tell you that if you do that shadow work, you can tell so many people to fuck off, you know, without having to say those choice words. But, you know, you just don't have to put up with people's shit anymore. Because if you do the work on yourself, you'll know, oh, that's you. This is a mischaracterization of me that you're projecting. You can't handle certain facets of yourself, and so you're expecting more out of me than what I've told you I could give you. Or you're just straight up lying, you know? A lot of people just lie. So many people lie. Holy shit. But I don't even think they realize they're doing it. Because if you're in, like, constant defense mode, if you're in, like, this mindset where you just feel superior to everybody, or like me back in the day, I felt inferior to everybody. I felt like everybody knew what was going on but me. And now I'm realizing, no, it was you that knew what was going on. But no, like, I haven't just switched everything, okay? I don't think I'm better than anybody. I think I'm just willing to do a lot of work that most people don't want to do because I'm, you know, crazy according to society. Because, yeah, most people aren't going to want to, like, look at the ugly parts of themselves. But I really wanted to be better, you know? And that desire comes from God, for sure. For sure. So, just thinking about, like, how much I've grown as a person. Like, there's so much that people have said to me that would bother me. I mean, if you told me that I could just get up on stage and do jokes and they would bomb and I wouldn't care. I mean, it's not like I don't care at all, but, you know, I'd still get back up and do it again. Like, I never thought that was possible. Just putting myself out there on the internet the way that I have is crazy. Especially considering how paranoid I am. You know? But yeah, like, people saying stuff about me that's not true. Or, like, trying to demean me or invalidate me or whatever. That used to really bother me, but it doesn't bother me anymore because, like, I know who the fuck I am. And so it's like, if I'm open and honest and another person can't handle it, that's them. You know? Oh, this is OCD in action. But yeah, like, there are people that I work with who are really controlling and annoying and angry and medicated and all that shit, and it's like, their lives aren't getting no better, okay? And I know they're not going to change, so I don't expect them to change. I don't expect them to be any less angry. I don't expect them to be any less controlling. At the same time, like, I don't have to put up with it. If they're, like, in my space or whatever, like, I will set that boundary. They don't like it, but they can kiss my ass, you know? If somebody's trying to contact me, I don't want to talk to them, I'm not going to talk to you, period. Like, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Like, if people don't know how to talk to another person, like, you don't have to put up with somebody treating you like a damn child. You don't. I mean, if I'm around somebody, if I have to deal with somebody like that, it's just like, I'm in my head. You know, I'm somewhere else, like, defending myself from this experience that I don't want to have with this so-called delusion, this intrusion, you know? And I'm realizing, like, yeah, if I don't want to spend time with you, I'm not going to spend time with you. Like, I'm just not going to do it. Ronit, we had a little spat, and we talked about it. And we were able to have this conversation. It wasn't, like, awkward, and we have enough respect for each other. She's also a woman. I think it's a little different when there's no, like, sexual tension between two parties that are, you know, at odds with each other at some point. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have any issue having conversations with people, but if I feel like it's not going to get anywhere, then there's no point in having that conversation, you know? And that's why I say what I say about politics. Like, I love talking about politics. I love talking about religion. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm actually just trying to learn whenever I talk about anything. But if I feel like nothing's going to be accomplished, then, like, yeah, there's, like, if you're just going to yell at me about my beliefs, or you're going to get offended because I say something you don't like, that's a conversation we don't need to have, because, yeah, it's just going to piss you off, you know? I'm not going to get pissed off. People shit on my God all the time. They shit on my religion. They think I'm fucking racist, even though I'm a minority at a restaurant, which I've been for, like, 20 years, but whatever. Yeah, like I said, I know who I am, and I know who I'm not. I know that I'm not all the things I get accused of. I know that people are exaggerating because they're hurt, because they're sick, you know? And I can understand that you're sick without having to get sick myself. Like, that doesn't have to infect me. Your sickness doesn't have to infect me. All because I have empathy for you. And I can understand why. Because I feel like I've done work on people more than they've done that shit on themselves. Because if they were to, like, see an actual therapist that helped them, like, not just somebody that validated their bullshit, you know, which I think most therapists do at this point, especially the political ones, like, they would be disappointed. They would be disappointed that they would have to be challenged, you know? Like, my therapist, like, the last one I saw, like, he kicked me out because there was, like, no point in us continuing that, because he said, you know, like, you've learned a lot from this, but you've already proven that you know more than me. I proved that I didn't need a therapist, basically. But yeah, like, we used to just argue. No point in seeing a therapist if they just agree with you, dude. Like, they gotta challenge you, and you gotta challenge them too. And he told me, he's like, you know, I want you to call me out, and, you know, I totally did. I was probably the best patient he ever had, okay? Pissed him off, but yeah, he probably got more out of that interaction than, like, most of the people that he saw, because they didn't fucking challenge him, you know? And so, I mean, he told me that I taught him a lot about mental illness. So, yeah, it's like, when people, they don't want to work on themselves, they run away from anything that makes them too uncomfortable, you know? And I'm definitely going to get accused of that, all because I don't want to do what somebody wants me to do. No, there's a huge difference between, like, not adhering to a request when you know that request is not in good faith, versus, like, not wanting to work on yourself, you know? Like, there's a lot of stuff that I repeatedly work on within my own consciousness, you know? Like, I'm just constantly wrestling with all these things that I experience and think and feel, and just analyzing it over and over and over again, and, you know, reworking the 12 steps, and read the Bible all the time, go to church multiple times a week, sing in the choir, help the children, you know, do this YouTube thing, obviously. And I am planning on going back and doing stand-up comedy. It's just only a matter of time before I get back out there and do it. But yeah, like, there's a lot of stuff that I do on a regular basis that, like, really helps me, and I know it helps other people. And, you know, just playing music and expressing myself through my art, like, that just means a lot to me. Like, there's so much that people can do that they're not even aware that they can do. But yeah, if they're focused on other people, whether they're focused on all these people that wrong them, or they're focused on some stupid celebrity and what they're doing, and that's women for you. But yeah, it's just like, you're squandering so much time that you could be using on yourself to, like, better yourself and be, like, the best person that you can be, when you're focusing on other people. Like, forget that other people exist, you know? Since I'm probably gonna get called a sociopath, I'm just gonna say that that's the best thing that you could do, is just, like, work on yourself and do things that are therapeutic for you. Do things that benefit you spiritually. And yeah, like, you have any idea how many people mock me because I still have a flip phone? You have any idea how many people are like, they're pissed off because I don't do what they want me to do? But it's like, no, I have to protect myself, and I'm not gonna care. Like, I wish that more people knew how to validate themselves and spend time with themselves and not need other people. Like, and it's just so sad to me that, like, people can look at me and be like, she's pathetic. She's pathetic because she knows how to entertain herself. She's pathetic because she can keep herself warm at night. She's pathetic because she's got cats, you know? Meow.